Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Dominique, and today's video is going to be my long-awaited birth story. It's been about almost 8 weeks since I've had my baby, and so it's taken me quite a while to film this video, obviously. So that's what today's video is going to be, is my birth story, everything about that day, leading up to that day. So let's just get right into the video because it's going to be a long one. So I guess it kind of started on February 22nd. My due date was February 27th for everyone, if you're new watching this. My due date was February 27th. So on February 22nd, my mucus plug started coming out, and it was just a little bit, it wasn't a ton, there was no blood in it or anything, but I definitely knew it was my mucus plug. And then on February 24th, my mucus plug came out even more, and that's where it had a lot of blood in it. I was texting my mom and I showed her, and I was like, yeah, definitely it's coming out more. Texted Adrian as well too. He was at work. It was like around 7 p.m. when I texted him saying, was it 7 p.m? Yeah, so around 7 p.m. I texted Adrian. He was at work that night. He had went in a couple hours before. When I texted him at 7, he was already there, and I had told him like more of my mucus plug came out and it has blood in it. Texted my mom like I said, and I didn't want to freak her out, so I didn't want to tell her like a lot because she was supposed to be here for my baby's birth, but I thought I definitely would go over my due date, but obviously she had other plans, and so my mom wasn't able to make it, sadly. So I was texting her the whole process of everything, and then Adrian as well was FaceTiming her through everything, like my labor and everything. So I texted her saying like it came out more, but I was like, don't worry because it's gonna stress me out. I don't want to worry, so I'm like, it doesn't mean anything. Like a lot of people's mucus plug comes out like weeks in advance and they don't have their baby yet. So I'm like, doesn't mean anything. And so I wasn't doing anything that night either. I was just relaxing, and I didn't want to overwork myself because I was not trying to have this baby. I wanted to wait for my mom. I also wasn't having any contractions at that time, so around 7 p.m. I wasn't having contractions. And then at 8:30, I texted Adrian. I'm like, I may be having contractions or Braxton Hicks. I don't know. LOL. They're not hurting me, so. And he's like, okay, well, if anything happens, make sure to call me because he's at work and obviously he needs to be here to take me. Something happens, we're not trying to have a baby in a car or here or anything. I'm like, nothing's going to happen. Like, I don't want to have that mindset because I'm not trying to have this baby. And then I texted him, I'm like, just took a shower, washed my hair, and shaved just in case. That was like 8:50 p.m. And then I didn't tell my mom either that I was having contractions. Like I said, I don't want to worry her, and yeah. So then I texted Adrian again at 11 p.m. I'm like, hey, so my contractions are like 20 minutes apart from when I'm looking at the time when they're happening. I'm going to start using the app that I have to track them to see, because they were starting to come more often and then to be consistent. He's like, this baby might just come. I'm like, I'm freaking out. So then I'm timing my contractions, and I had 4 in 30 minutes, and they lasted about a minute, and they were like around 10-ish minutes apart, so they weren't like enough for me to go into labor and delivery. But my app kept on saying like, get ready, we recommend that you get ready to the hospital. And you guys, I did not have my hospital bag packed. I didn't have my hospital bag packed. I didn't have my baby's packed. I had everything like out and like ready. It just wasn't in the bag. So once I started having that, after I took my shower, I started throwing everything in the bag like as fast as I can, just so I can get it over with and like just lay in bed, because I was not trying to have this baby, like I said. So then that's when I started texting my mom. I'm like, or I think I called my mom, and I'm like, I'm having contractions. I'm like, still don't freak out. Don't freak out. She started crying, and obviously that made me cry, and obviously it sucks because I wanted my mom to be here with me because we're in another country, and it's her first grandbaby and my first child, so obviously I wanted her to be with us in that moment. So then Adrian texted me again at 11:50 p.m. and he said that I'm turning in, or that he's turning in. And so Adrian's job is security forces, so he has weapons, so he had to turn in his weapons obviously before he leaves. So he said that he was turning in at 11:50, and I was like, why? What if nothing happens? And he said, they told me, but if something does happen. So his leadership, or his supervisor, I don't know, the people that he works with, they knew I was pregnant, they knew I was going to have her any day. So Adrian was talking to them saying like, she's having contractions, and they have kids too, so they were like, you need to go home just in case something happens. And he was showing the pictures of the contractions, so they're like, yeah, you need to go home, because after that it's just gonna progress and progress. And it did. So I was just telling Adrian like, we're not going to the hospital, like I'm not going. And he was just like, any more contractions? I was like, yep. So then Adrian did get home. I told him to go to sleep, because once we get to the hospital, like, you're gonna stay up with me, you're not gonna go to sleep. So he went to sleep, and then I tried going to sleep as well, but I couldn't, because every contraction woke me up, so I was still tracking them. So then at 2:30 a.m. I called labor and delivery to see what they would say, because I was having the worst back labor ever. Like, they were the worst. They hurt so bad. I wanted to cry every time I got one, and I would get one every 5 minutes. So I called them to see what they would say, and they said, unless I'm in pain and having contractions 3 to 5 minutes apart, then I can come in. My mom asked me like, am I in pain? And I said, only when I'm having the contractions, like it hurt the worst. And so I was having Adrian rub my back just to like ease the pain. I think I was taking a hot shower for that to help, and that did help actually. And then the nurse also said like, you usually have back labor in early labor. It starts in the back and then moves to the front. And then she said that I can this can happen for a couple days. So I was like hoping for it, like this was gonna last for like the couple days. But then at the same time I was like, oh my god, like I'm in pain. It was hurting so bad, but I did not want to go to the hospital just because I did not want to. And then at 5:37 a.m. on February 25th, I texted my mom again. I said, I do not like this. So then she called me, and she was just like, well, like what's happening? Like, does it hurt you that much? And she's like, just go to the hospital. Or she's like, call labor and delivery again. Say that you're in pain. Because obviously I was in pain, and just to let them know that I was coming in. So then that's when I called labor and delivery, and I'm like, yeah, my contractions are 5 minutes apart, 5 to 7 minutes apart, I would say. But I'm in pain, like it hurts so bad. So they're like, okay, like obviously, yeah, come in. We'll get a room ready just so like in case something does happen, like it's ready. So then at 6 a.m. I said, we're leaving to the hospital. So that's when we got everything in the car and we drove to the hospital. So when you arrive to the hospital, you go straight to labor and delivery, and you go into like their triage room, and that's when they hook you up to the monitors, like the contraction monitor and the heart rate monitor, and then they check you to see if you're dilated. So at 7:30 a.m. they checked me, and I was 4 centimeters dilated. When I got to the hospital, I was already 4 centimeters dilated. That's so crazy to me that I was already 4 centimeters dilated. Like, I'm like, okay, like I can do this. Like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have this baby today. So in triage, I was obviously still having contractions. They were still 5 minutes apart, and then like just my back just got worse. Like the back labor just got worse and worse. And so that's when my OB came, and she was just asking me questions like, where is it hurting? And I was telling her. So she's like, okay, like I'm gonna do some like massages. I'm not really too sure like what it's called, but she was massaging me for an hour, you guys. 1 hour she was massaging me, and the catch was for every contraction that I was in, I had to stay in that position. So I was in some weird positions. I'll enter a video right here because I was like on my side, like on the side of the bed, and she was like pushing on my back. So I had like every contraction I had to stay in that position, and there was like about 3 other positions. So She did that for an hour, and that's like, that hurt the most, just like staying in the same position for every contraction. After that, she checked me again, and I was 7 centimeters dilated. So at 10:15, I was 7 centimeters dilated, and that's when they said, we're getting your room ready. And before that, when I was 4 centimeters dilated, she's like that they can't admit me until I'm 6 centimeters dilated. So that's why she came in and massaged me to see like where it would get me, and obviously it got me to a 7, and that's when they admitted me into labor and delivery. And then in the triage room, my blood pressure did get high, so obviously they were monitoring that because they don't want it to get it too high. So it was borderline high, but it was okay. So then I got to my room in labor delivery. It's like literally a few rooms down, and I was so thankful that I got there when I did, because I got the bigger room, I guess. So if you're familiar with the hospital that I'm talking about, then you guys know there's like one nice big room for labor and delivery, and I'm so happy I got that. It has a hot tub, it has like so many other things like you can do for labor, and then it was just so big as well. So I'm like, okay, like I'm good, like I have the best room here. I didn't have a small room, so I'm like, okay, I'm getting excited now. So then they checked me again at 11 a.m. and I was 8 centimeters dilated, which I'm like, okay, like this is happening soon. When I got into labor and delivery, I immediately went into the hot tub that they have in there, or the bathtub, I guess. They filled it with warm water, and I was just sitting in there, and I'm like, okay, like I was like on my knees kind of in the bathtub, and it felt so much better for every contraction that I had, just because like the warm water hitting your back, it felt amazing. So when I was in the bathtub, when I got in there, they put an IV in me, and then obviously they took off the contraction band and the heart rate band because you can't go in there with those on. So then they put an IV in me, and I had that. Then she came in, my OB came in again, and she was like, so like what's the plan, like do you want an epidural? I went into labor and delivery with no birth plan. Obviously like so many birth plans don't go according to plan, and so I'm like, I just want this baby out safe. So I'm like, if you just do what you gotta do to get the baby out. And then as far as me, I said if I was in so much pain, or I wanted to see how long I can go without an epidural. I went in thinking I was gonna get one just because my pain tolerance is not high at all. I went in thinking that I was gonna get one like right away. And so when she told me that I was 8 centimeters dilated, I was like, okay, like how much longer, like how much pain am I gonna get in, like how much more pain am I gonna get in if like I need an epidural? And so right before she had asked me if I wanted the epidural, I had gotten a contraction, and it hurt so bad, so bad. And I'm like, yeah, give me the epidural. And so she's like, okay, we're getting you the epidural. So she went to go call the anesthesiologist, and the anesthesiologist came in, and she has to obviously talk to us about everything that's gonna happen, what like everything that will happen, and then what ifs. So then we had to sign consent forms as well. And so when she was talking to us about that, Adrian, my husband, is looking at me like, I did not know this. So he's like, babe, like you should just do it without the epidural. Like you're already almost there. You're 8 centimeters dilated. You're not that far from 10. And he goes, I believe in you. You can do this. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. So I told the anesthesiologist like, okay, never mind. She was like, she brought in the cart with like all of the medicine or whatever, I don't know. She brought in her cart, and she was ready. Like I was gonna get it, and I was like, okay, never mind, like I can do it. So in that time I was still in the bathtub. I was in the bathtub for about like 2 hours. So when they moved me to the room, it was 10:15 a.m. and I was in the bathtub for about like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. They were monitoring me as well, so they kept on checking my blood pressure, and then they kept on checking the baby's heart rate. So there was 3 people in there. So it's my OB and then 2 nurses, 1 nurse for the baby and then 1 nurse for me, or midwives I guess. So there was 3 of them, and then Adrian was in there as well. He was on FaceTime with my mom. So I'm in the bathtub and everyone's like around me, like we're just talking. Like I was still able to hold a conversation until I was good. I did not have any other medicine, any pain medicine I did not want, just because I was like, I'm already almost there, I can do it. And then at 12:42 p.m. I was at 9.5 centimeters, so I was so close to 10 centimeters, and I'm guessing I got to 10 centimeters quickly after that, because at 1:15 I started pushing, or right before I started pushing they broke my water, and then I started pushing. So I was pushing for about almost 2 hours, which is so long, you guys. Almost 2 hours of pushing. Like, it hurts so bad. I was pushing for so long because the baby was she was positioned correctly, but she was turned, so her face was the opposite direction that it needed to be in. So that's why it took so long. Every time that I had a contraction, the OB, she would put her hand up there and like try to turn her, I'm guessing, and it took about almost 2 hours for her to do that. I was changing positions every time too, just because sitting in a bed for that long, like, it hurt my butt. So I got up to go to this other thing. I'm not really too sure like what it's called, but you like literally sit your butt on it. It's kind of like a swing, and then like every contraction still that I had, I would push, and then like if the baby did come, like she would have, like, the floor was like so low right there, and so like the OB would have like caught her, I guess. But I didn't like that, so I moved quickly back to the bed. I think I put my legs up then, because the first time I had my legs up I didn't like it. After I got back into the bed, I put my legs up onto like the little leg rests that they have. So that's when I started pushing more. And at 3:07 is when I delivered my baby. She came out perfectly healthy at 7 pounds 7 ounces and 20 inches. I did have the golden hour. It was more like the golden 2 hours. She was on me for a while, which I'm super grateful. They didn't take her away right away. And then after that 2 hours, they obviously checked her and like weighed her and got her measurements and everything. And then during that time I did get to breastfeed. She did amazing. She latched on right away, and then I did eat as well. And then after, when they took the baby after that 2 hours, that's when I had to get up and use the restroom. I was able to get up on my own, and then I was standing there and like I was just scared to walk, obviously. Like I just pushed out a baby, and I don't know, I was just scared to walk. So I told the nurse, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need your help. And he started laughing. He goes, I told you, because I had he had asked me if I wanted to help, I'm like, no, like I think I'm able to do it. So he laughed and said, I told you. So then he came back and helped me to the restroom, and then he said that I needed to pee, and then I think I needed to like catch the pee as well in the little thing that they give you, because they want to measure how much pee I'm peeing. I don't know, is that TMI, but it's a labor and delivery video. So they measured the pee, and then obviously they want to see if you're bleeding a lot. I wasn't bleeding as much when I peed, but the nurse, or the OB, did say I did lose quite a lot of blood, and I did tear. Forgot to say about that. I did tear. I tore, I think, 2 little tears inside and then 1 on the outside, so they weren't too bad. So obviously I had to get stitches for that. She did give me some numbing cream for down there because it hurt so bad. And then I forgot to talk about this. I was like jumping all the way to the end. After they delivered the baby, they pushed on my stomach, obviously I forget, like they push on the stomach for the uterus to go down, I guess, and your uterus is still contracting after you deliver the baby. It still contracts for like a few days, and it hurts so bad. They pushed down on the uterus, and I believe to get all the blood out. I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that. I wasn't paying attention, but they were pushing on my stomach, and it hurt so bad. Like that hurt so much worse than pushing. And then oh my gosh, I forgot to talk about this too. Right before I pushed her out, I had the, what is it called, the ring of fire. You guys, the ring of fire is so real. I thought like people were joking about like the ring of fire, but it is real. Right before they come out, or where her head is crowning, I believe, it literally burns so bad, like literally so bad. And so when I'm pushing towards the end, I start screaming. Like, I am screaming so loud. I think one nurse came in and she was like, is everything okay in here? And they're like, yeah. But I was literally screaming towards the end, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how much longer am I gonna do this? And they'll be just gonna think like, you're almost there, you're almost there. And I had the best team of midwives as well. They were all super encouraging, just super encouraging, and they're the ones who got me through it, because honestly I don't think I would have gone through if like the nurses were quiet or whatever. But they were all encouraging, which I loved about that. I was scared to have like a bad experience, because a lot of people have bad experiences at the hospital, and I'm so glad I got the best team there. I got the best OB. Literally, she was not supposed to be on call that day, and she was, or she switched with someone, and she was the best. So after that, what happens? After the ring of fire, obviously I delivered her as well, and then they stitched me up after I delivered her. And then what else happened? I think that's when I had like, oh, Adrian cut the umbilical cord. I was able to do delayed clamping with the umbilical cord. So they actually already recommend doing that, is delaying the cord. Obviously they want all that nutrients to go into the baby, so they do delay it for a few minutes. I think they were able to delay it for about 4 minutes, I believe, and then he was able to cut it. And then she was just on me and she was crying. She did poop on me. And then like I said, she was on me for about 2 hours before they took her to weigh her and measure her. They measured her right in the room, and then that's after that Adrian was able to hold her. And then, like I was saying, like I was able to go pee, and then there was not that much blood in there. When I did deliver, I did lose quite a bit of blood, so they did take some blood samples, not blood samples, I guess blood samples, because then they took that to go get tested. And I did lose quite a lot of blood, so it was like borderline, I guess. But they did give me iron instead of a blood transfusion. When they gave me that iron, they tested again and I was back to normal. But I literally still have like the, how do I show you guys? There it is. Like from when they put the iron in, I still have, it's like a birthmark, which is so weird to me. So they gave me some iron. That's when I was in mother baby unit. Keep on getting ahead of myself. So after I was able to get up to go pee, I got into a wheelchair, and then that's when they moved us to mother baby unit, and we got our own room, which I was so excited about, because they said if the hospital was super busy, we would have to share a room, and there's some small rooms there, and we got like a nice sized room. And we did not have to share with anybody, which I'm so thankful for. And so I feel like I had the best experience at the hospital, unlike some other people said that they had there. So I was expecting like the worst. Once we got into mother baby unit, they obviously come in every few hours, or like every hour, to check on us. So they just kept on checking baby's heart rate and kept on checking baby's heart rate, and then obviously my blood pressure. And then when they would come in too, they would push down on my uterus. So I think that's pretty much it when I had her. My delivery story. It was kind of all over the place towards the end, but I kept on forgetting. Obviously pregnancy brain does not go away, because then you get mom brain, so it just gets worse. After that, I think that's pretty much it that happens. We were in the hospital for 48 hours, a little less than 48 hours. We were able to go home on her due date, February 27th. That morning before we left, Adrian actually left to go pick up my mom from the airport, so she was able to come to the hospital and the baby and see me, obviously. And we left that day. They did like a baby car seat check, and we left the hospital, which was so crazy because I feel like I wasn't even there for that long, which I did not want. I didn't want to stay in the hospital for that long because the food was gross, for one. The beds were comfortable actually, and then I don't know, I just wanted to be in my own home, obviously. While we were there, I was still able to breastfeed every 3 hours, or 2 to 3 hours, I think I was doing. So she was latching on so good to me. A lactation consultant did come in and checked on us. She did give me a nipple shield because my boob was too big apparently. So just to help the baby latch on correctly, and that worked good until like a couple weeks, so we don't use it anymore. I was super grateful for that because obviously like you're a new mom and like you don't really know like if you're doing it correctly, so I'm glad that they had that to offer for us. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it, I think. So if you guys have any other questions for me, make sure you guys leave them down below and I would be gladly like to answer them. So if you guys like this video, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.
I've been waiting all my life for someone like you, like you. I would watch the days go by, wasted and blue. I was out of use, now every day